Hey parents, it's Robbin McManne here. I'm a certified parenting coach, parenting expert, and a mom to two teenage boys. And one of the things that I hear a lot from the clients that I work with and parents in general is how do I really ensure that my kids grow up with good and strong values? And also, how do I put boundaries in place for my kids? Well, I see the two as being connected. In fact, you can determine what your family values are and have boundaries related to those values. It works really well. And it's actually how you get boundaries to stick and have your kids not argue with them like you think that they might. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, how to pick your values, and how to decide what boundaries that you have to go along with it. While you're here, can I just ask you to please like this video? It means the world to me if you do. I am all about giving you real, modern, useful strategies for your parenting that really, really work. And of course, I don't just shoot videos. I also have my book, The Yelling Cure. I have a podcast called Parenting Our Future. And I have a program for parents just like you, for parents who have maybe a strong-willed, difficult kiddo. Well, it's my job to help you understand their behavior and also help you to feel more calm and confident. This is one of my clients who's currently enrolled in my program that includes a community of like-minded parents just like you that have the same concerns, the same worries, and have some kids that are really tough to parent. They also have access for life to a course that has all of the different modules to help you understand where you're parenting from in terms of the way you were parented. It tells you about how to do things like set up family values, how to be the calm in the storm, in any kind of storm, how to correct behavior, how to communicate, and how to build things like confidence and resilience and gratitude in your kids. Now, I also have 3 weekly live calls where we talk and we dive into the unique problems that the parents that I work with have that they're struggling with. And so this is one of my clients here, and she says the weekly calls are great. I always get a question answered, and I feel like somebody listens and understands my parenting challenges. I found that I often parent out of a sense of worry or fear of the future. I've learned to parent more in the moment. This group also helps me to feel better about my ability to parent and my child's development. Both my husband and I have benefited from anticipating difficult spots in the day and setting up the routine for success. So if you're interested in this and you want some support, just book a call with me. We'll talk about what I do and how I do it. And it would be my honor to speak with you and to work with you as well. So let's talk about values first and why we want to impart values to our kids and why they're so important. It really is like setting them up with their own internal compass and helping them to make decisions in their life based on these values. And values are really what make people good people. And our kids also need us to provide them with safety and protection in order to grow. So we really need to build scaffolding around them of support where they can learn to explore the world around them safely and also really what it means to be in relationship with other people. And so when it comes to values and how you're going to start to set them up, I want you to know that your values are unique to you and your family. You don't have to do what you think other people are doing. You don't have to do what your family did when you were being raised. You just need to work with your parenting partner to find out what values are important to the both of you. In order to determine what values you have, you may want to ask yourself these questions. First, what are the values that you will uphold no matter what? What are the values that will make your skin crawl if they are no longer present? And what are the values you live by? So when you're determining your values, there's some categories here that I'd like to suggest that you can pull from to really decide what it is that you want to have in your family. So some of these values could be under the category of social values, things like peace and justice, freedom, equality, and bettering our community. There are spiritual values that are rooted in your faith and your beliefs. Then we have other values like your work values, what values around how you view your job or finances, how you work in school and how important that is. And then there are more of moral values, values about being honest and trustworthy and taking personal responsibility, being respectful. And then there are recreational values that really refer to anything that's fun. Like we enjoy having fun together. We make a priority and have a value around play and fun. Really, what you want to do is you want to narrow down your values to about 4 to 6 of them, no more than that. And of course, this really depends on how old your kids are, because once you have your values, you want to start to talk to your kids about them. So I thought I would give you a little idea of what our family values are so that you can kind of see how I look at them and what they are and how I define what they are. So you'll see on the screen here some of our values. And what I do is I have sort of the category and then the description below. So if you look at fun, for example, fun, we value laughter and silliness. We try to make sure that we have fun in everything we do. Then there is cooperation. We will always work to get along and cooperate with each other, and we will try our best to cooperate with each other's requests always. Love is a really important one for us as well. Love is the foundation of our family, and each person will be loved unconditionally and have unconditional love and support always. And when in doubt, we always choose love. So that's something really important. Yes, I know I have 7 instead of the 4 to 6 that I said, but that's okay. I mean, everybody can really interpret this how they want to, but I really just want to give you that foundation. So now that we've talked about values, what you want to do is have some ideas of what the limits around these values are. So if it's cleanliness and you value that we keep a clean home, our bodies are clean, then what's the limit that is attached to it? And I say limits and boundaries, they really mean the same thing. Limits really come from a place of a parent's fundamental responsibility to keep our kids safe, to teach them and to allow them space to learn and grow. They are carefully constructed with values in mind, but they also are determined based on where your child is developmentally, where they are in age, and where they are at this stage in their life. Limits are not coming from a place of complete obedience. They're really a process of teaching and supporting your child, knowing that even the best child only cooperates about 80% of the time. The other thing about limits that I love is they're the opening to a conversation, not the end of a conversation like rules can be. So both rules and boundaries can prevent misbehavior, but with rules, the payoff for kids is for complying is that they're just avoiding something bad happening to them, not choosing to do the right thing. And so if you watched last week's video, I talked about how you can parent and have discipline without punishment. So if you haven't watched that, then you definitely want to watch that because that will help you with this area of this discussion. Usually when we look at rules are pretty inflexible and they are really rooted in fear and punishment. And if you don't do what I say, I'm going to do this to you. They're really the end of the conversation. They don't allow for flexibility, for collaboration, for creativity in solutions. They really are just black and white. And there can be many, many ways to observe a limit or a boundary that isn't just simply black or white. And really what rules create is a win-lose situation. And that's not what we want. When you actually use limits or boundaries instead, you're actually creating a win-win situation. So boundaries are firm, but they're also flexible. And you can set a boundary that you want to hold, but there's also room for compromise, which is what I was talking about. So let's say you have a value for safety and you talk to your child that when we walk across the street, the boundary is that you hold my hand. Well, maybe your child doesn't want to hold your hand that day. And you say, okay, well, the boundary is that we stay connected while we cross the street. So you can hold on to my sleeve. You can hold on to the stroller. We can hold pinky fingers. We can do a bunch of different things just to stay connected, but your child gets to have some input. I look at limits and boundaries as preventing problems in positive ways. You're encouraging discussion, connection, and collaboration with your child. And if you ever give your child a problem to solve, they are so good at coming up with solutions. So you can say, okay, so you don't want to do this thing. How come? Or what should we do instead? How are we going to figure this out? your child will love helping to come up with things and they'll want to talk to you. And if you listen to them, it is such a huge win and really builds that deep connection. This is where we're creating win-win scenarios as well, because you get what you want and your child also gets to have some say. And that's really great. And I want to be really clear that we're not talking about permissive parenting here. You are saying no. There are limits. There are boundaries. It's okay to say no to your kids. I'm absolutely not saying that they get to run the show. That is not good for them. And it's certainly not good for you and your family dynamic either. So back to our values as a family, I want to show you how we put the limits attached to our values. One is openness. I chose this because as my kids are growing, I notice that there is a lot of pushback for doing things. And so my husband and I decided that, okay, openness does need to be one of our values, even though I wouldn't have said that openness is one of my values. If you were to ask me years ago, I wouldn't have said it, but it really, it really is. And it's also based on the way my kids are and who they are. And so we want to encourage open-mindedness because we plan things. We want to go on vacations. We want to go on adventures. We want to have day trips. We want to do different things. And you need to have an open mind in order to be able to do those things sometimes, especially with kids like mine who are a little bit anxious and are a little bit wary of some things. And so with openness, we have that we are open to new experiences and new ideas, and we will consider each other's ideas and wishes. And what that means is that the limit is that we ask questions instead of making accusations or assumptions, because this is kind of where we were getting caught. One of our boys would say, oh, there's probably going to be a long lineup. Oh, we're only going to be able to stay for a short time. Oh, I bet there's going to be lots of people and there's going to be nowhere to sit and eat. And I would always say, well, what's your question? Do you have some questions? Because it sounds like you're deciding what's true and you haven't even asked me if that's true. So this is a way for us to really address those objections in a constructive, positive, proactive way instead of being caught with a bunch of complaining when we're there. And it lets them really get it out of their system as well. And so we always say, okay, what are your questions about this? And of course, we know what our kids like and don't like. So we're also, my husband and I are being proactive with where we're going, making sure that it fits our family, also managing our own expectations too. That's our really part in it. And not everything works out fine. Not everything is great. Sometimes things are like a total dud, but we always try and we're there to address what our kids' objections are or worries are. And this really gives them an open forum to be able to do that. Another one that we have is cooperation. And I'm sure there's a lot of you that want to have cooperation as one of your values as well. And so for us, cooperation means that we are always working to get along and cooperate with each other. And we try our best to cooperate with each other's requests. And therefore, the limit is we look for win-win outcomes and we respect each other's wishes. So this is really big for us because my boys are two very different kids. They don't always get along, but they do need to cooperate. And that does include communication. So we're always looking for a win-win that, okay, you get what you want and you get what you want, or something like that in between. That we really do want to respect each other's wishes. Sometimes you're not going to get what you want. And you're still going to cooperate anyway, because the next time we go to do something, you might get what you want and your brother might not. So that's why we want to cooperate. And it just really gives us a chance to explain that and to really share that. And I think cooperation and openness, along with the rest of our values, are really important values to have for any family. So does that make sense? Tell me what your values are in the comments below. Tell me where your values are, what they are, and do you have limits or boundaries around them? It's totally fine for you to have limits. And in fact, I expect you to have limits that are to fix things that are kind of driving you crazy, to fix things that aren't really working well. Let's talk about how we get our kids on board. Because if you're trying to fix things that aren't going well, you've got to get buy-in first. And so as you are introducing these values, what you're going to do is you're going to introduce one value at a time. And you're going to take your time doing this. So it's really a slow roll. It's a long game. It's going to take some time to get there, and that's okay. it's supposed to take a long time because you want these values to be ingrained in your kids and you want them to really stick. You start off with one value, and you're going to start off by talking about that value, what it is, and what it means. And you're going to do this in a family meeting. So that's part two. So the next part to this is having regular family meetings. And I'm going to talk about that in part two of this video that you're going to see next week, where I'm going to talk about family meetings. I'm going to talk about what to do when your kids resist the boundaries that you put in place, and what to do if you don't have a boundary over something and it comes up. So it's all juicy stuff that I can't wait to share with you. In the meantime, please watch this next video because this is really going to help you when it comes to understanding what's going on with your kids and really getting them to listen the first time. This is something that I know that you'll really want, and this will help you in all things values, boundaries, and so on. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit like, don't forget to subscribe, book that call with me. I would love to talk to you, and I will see you in part two. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.